everyone, welcome. It's Carly from Carly's Creative Clay here. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas and New Year. Mine was very good, very busy. I had a really good time spending Boxing Day with my sister, and then New Year's I did another family late Christmas with my husband's family, and that was brilliant. As I do with all weeks, I have an item from my shop that I am showcasing. So the item of the week this week is my dragon teeth pot. I only have one of them in the shop. We have a blue dragon and a purple dragon. Let's see, there you go. And the purple one's blowing flames. So we got a yellow fade into red fire coming out his mouth. This is £80 UK money, not dollars, because it took me ages to make 2 dragons, and obviously there's only one left in the world. So I will give it a nice spin so you can have a proper look at it, and do so with it up on its side so you can see down the bottom, but I take the lid off so that I don't smash that. Now I have filled this with boiling water and it all stayed stuck fine, so you'll be fine to use this. It would need to be hand washed up because it's not entirely strong, like if it was actually made out of all one piece, the teapot and the dragons, because they're stuck on. I wouldn't trust it with a dishwasher. The gold egg at the top has been covered in mica powder. If you see the difference between, that's what the gold looks like in the clay, and you cover it in gold mica, makes it just pop a little more. And the varnish again also brings more luster to it, so I do like using my mica powder. So yeah, £80, only one of them in the world. Probably not going to make another one that looks exactly like this. May end up doing teapots again. I have got a few that I can do, but it will not be these exact dragons. Absolutely certainly, because I very rarely repeat anything that I make. So I'm going to put this to one side and we'll get on. Okay. Just putting that on the floor, sorry. There we go. Right, so something I got for Christmas that was awesome that I want to show off. If you're a clayer or an artist, I got this. It's called a colour tool. And what it is like, do you remember Dulux used to do paint cards? Well, this is that sort of thing with every colour. So what you can do, for me, I mix up colours from my clay all the time, and I've got an idea in my head roughly what colour I want to do, but I suffer with something called aphantasia, which basically means that I can't picture images in my mind. So this is going to be a great help. I thought paint still did this. I thought that at least Dulux would. Gone around so many arts and DIY shops, they don't. Not anymore. They do this little pamphlet where it will show 1 or 2 colours and what it looks like in a room that they've painted up with it. But you can't really colour match like you can off this. And this was £11 off of Amazon. So you got 816 colours in that. It's well worth a think about if you're someone that does art. The other present I got that was good for me in my business was a set. What they are is glasses frames you put over your head, and then you get a little case with magnifying lenses like that, and they just literally clip in, and you can adjust the lenses, and they have a very bright light on them. I'll turn it off so I'll be able to see what I'm doing with my more fiddly bits that are small. So it's a good tool. So thank you for that. And one present that I'm going to be using today, I'll sort that out in a bit. Let's put this to one side. I got holographic glitter, and it's so pretty. My brother-in-law bought me ultra fine, medium and thick. So I'm going to be using some of the ultra fine on the wings. So today we are getting back to working on the dragon vase. Let's move this over.
Fairy Hedgehog asks, well, Fairy Hedgehog
Here we
says,
go.
that's cool, who gave you those?
The glitter was my brother-in-law. The glasses was a friend of mine called Shannon, and the colour chart was my older sister. So my family, I'm very, very lucky. I have got a lot of support from family and friends on my business. I know there are a lot of people out there who are crafters whose family have no interest. It's harder. It is, I agree. Right, I've
such nice present.
Yes, that wasn't all the presents I got. I did get slippers. I have lots of slippers because I live in them. What else was there? There was a heat pad for my back and all sorts of things. Right, I moved this over to a deeper tray and these jars because where I've got the head on now, its nose was getting squashed on the tray because it was going further around the bottle. So I've raised it up onto jars, and I filled the jars with some stones to stop it sliding. So all the limbs are on now. Let's show that off. What we got, we have a head with teeth and a tongue, and we have all the limbs are on, back on again, and the tail curves under. So what we're doing today, we are going to make some wings and make the spikes and things like that for along the body. Now it's getting cumbersome because of how big and full it is. The other thing I want to do is I want to do some fire for it to breathe. Now what I've done, I've shown on many of the videos. I think there's 4 before now. If you want to see how I got to this stage, there is a link to my YouTube, and all the videos of previous live streams are on there. On them I have shown how to do a Skinner blend. That's the 2 triangles that you fold over and over so that you fade along. I've done it for a red through to yellow, so the middle bit's on the orange tones. Let's bring that up close. That's kind of okay vision wise. That's going to be used for fire later on. If you want to see how to skin a blend, have a look on my previous videos. So this head keeps wanting to come off. Where the clay's been sitting around for many weeks, it's not as good at sticking to itself as it would be if it was freshly conditioned, but it should be fine. I'm just pushing it on. Right, so what I want to get started on, I'm going back to some of the canes I've done. I want to make, first of all, a strip going up the back. So I'm going to use the green I used on the belly, and instead of having it so that it's rectangular where one colour's at the top and one colour's at the bottom. Pardon?
You're not in the centre. Can you move across a bit?
Okay, sorry, moving across centre. There you go. I want to change it so that it goes from the blue to the green in the other direction. And how I do that is just literally I'm going to squeeze it back to the other shape of like that. Can you see? So now it will change over to a fade from top to bottom in a line, because what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to put a spike along the back like that, and then I'm going to cut notches out of it so it looks like a ridge of spikes. I know I'm doing this out the way of the, let's see if I can move this out the way so that you can see what I'm actually doing. So I'm just literally pushing along. I'm going to need that back in shot in about 30 seconds. Sorry, this is my admin trying to make it all look great for you all. I have ordered an extended arm for the camera, so you will find when it arrives over the next week, I'm going to put the camera that you can see down working on my piece. I'm going to put it going from behind me so it'll face the other way so you can see what I'm doing a little better. But you're going to have to stay with it whilst I'm working on it this week. Now, the thing I love about the clay is you can just change it so easily to what you want. And I know this is looking a bit scruffy. I will get this to lay neater. I will use a rolling pin in a second. I'm just getting the better part of it. Where are we? Rolling pin. I got a load of tools out just in case I need them. So I'm rolling it flat like that. So now we're going from blue to green fade along the whole thing. I know it looks like it's cracking and it's not even and it looks messy, but this is stage one of it. Now, if I was to try and lift that up, I would get some of the clay stuck to the board and it doesn't lift off smoothly from a glass board. I don't think it lifts off smoothly from anything other than greaseproof paper. So what you do is you get your tissue blade, that's a long thin blade, and you put it, I know I'm not, yeah, let's move the tray down, put it from the end, angle the blade towards you, and in a straight motion you just run it along. If you try to work from you that way backwards, you don't have as much control over it. So blade always faces away from you and you run towards you when you're doing your lifting of clay. So now that looks pretty smooth. Now let's see. Bring my dragon back in. I'm going to start from the top of the head. I'm going to put it down to a point. So I've just literally tapered one end into a point. I'm going to start on his forehead and work along the body, and I will show you this as soon as I've got it in. It's so much easier to work on square vases, they don't roll.
That Fairy Hedgehog says Evil Monkey is also watching, but she can't join chat from her iPad.
Oh, yes. I'm very lucky. My friend Evil Monkey has been up to stay with me for the Christmas, well, some of the Christmas period. So she usually joins me on chat as a lovely supporter. Thank you. Hey.
Hey everyone. Sorry,
Hi everyone. All my peeps are turning up. I'm very, very lucky. Right. We are just putting on a back ridge. like this. Now let's stretch it up to the tip of the towel and point it down. There we go. Sorry, it keeps wanting to lay sideways, so I know this isn't great for the camera, but I will show it off. Right, so let's get that out of the way. I've put the ridge along the back like that. Now if you want to turn them into points, you can just come along and flatten and then pinch into points. Should I put it as one long stripe, or shall I turn these into little spikes? What do you guys reckon? Any responses?
Everybody's just saying hello to each other at the moment.
Right. Whilst you guys work that out, let's do...
Fairy Hedgehog suggests spikes.
Shall I turn it into spikes? Right. You come along every few centimetres and push a tool in, and then you can use your fingers just to bring them into the sticky up bit, into more little points. Can you see? So I'm working along and just putting little dent in.
Charlie Star says spikes definitely.
And coming along and turn it into peaks. I know you guys will be able to see so much better once I get my new camera angle in. I'm very aware that if I'm seeing what I'm doing, you're not seeing what I'm doing so well. But it's a new bit of kit that I've got to get, which I have ordered.
Yeah, for some reason it's arriving tomorrow
Yeah,
instead of today.
which is entirely useful. This should be going live on YouTube. We had a lot of...
it won't be.
Is it still not going live on YouTube?
I've sent a message to YouTube to complain.
We are complaining to YouTube because we keep trying to go live on YouTube and they keep not allowing it.
It's
It says...
giving the message it will be ready in 24 hours and has been for 2 weeks.
Yeah. So that's a very long 24 hours. So going along, putting little spikes in like this. I'm hoping to get this finished this week. Whoop, don't break off. Here we go. See, that's the joy of clay. If things look like they're not going where you want it, you can just twiddle with it a bit more and it tends to stick back. Now, this dragon is not as neat as some of the others I've made, and what I've found is because I'm leaving it sitting around and only working on it when I'm on camera, the clay is drying out. I did explain on previous weeks that there is plasticizer, which is a chemical in the clay that keeps it soft, but that can leach out and it means that you end up with clay that wants to go dry and crumbly. You can add either liquid clay or you can add in baby oil, which is what I use because it's cheaper, and bring it back to soft again. But that's pretty hard to do if it's something you're in the middle of working on like this. I couldn't add oil into stuff I've already made. So you will find it is easier to just power on with your projects and take as little time as you can than it is to spend several months making one thing. But you guys are worth it. You guys are so worth it that I'm going to be streaming on my birthday. It turns out the 30th of January is a Wednesday and I'm not having a day off because you guys, I need to keep consistent so you all know when I'm on. The other thing I plan for this year pretty soon is probably once I finish this project, I want to give away some of the charms that I make, so that you all can have a competition to work off of.
4D says they use baby oil too.
Isn't it amazing? Wouldn't use it on my body. It comes from petrol. The idea of rubbing that into actual babies creeps me out. What they do is the petroleum, the oil, when they're making it, when they separate it and turn it into petrol, this white oil comes off, and that's what baby oil is. So, serious levels of eek. I tend to use cocoa butter or shea butter on me, but for clay, it's fine. And it works out well. Now,
Fairy Hedgehog says yuck.
I know, right? Brilliant bit of marketing that people think that that's great to put on babies. But yeah, no. Both that and Vaseline are petrol derived. They're what you end up with as an excess. Right, so this is taking me a while to go through, but it's, as you can see, it's going through quickly. You just got to make sure it doesn't fold over on itself whilst you're trying to flatten out the little spikes. The other option you can do is make each point individually and add them one after the other instead of a long stripe. But I wanted kind of, instead of points, I wanted more of a round frill. So we're almost there. We're just up at the top, and then I'm gonna.
Fairy Hedgehog says those spikes are looking good. 4D agrees.
Thank you. I thought it was a good way of using the end of this cane. Now, like I said, you can use off scraps on so many different things. I have used some of the pink scales that I had left over, and I stuck them together, smoothed out the join, and they're now little hearts that some teddy bear charms are holding. And that saved me having to do a pink fade for the hearts. I had them already. So it's very versatile. You can make something for one thing, find you got too much, and end up turning it into something else really easy. Never throw away leftover clay. There's always a million things you can do with it.
Charlie Star says he's looking gorgeous.
I know, I'm pretty proud of him. When you make stuff, you see every flaw. You see every time you've got something slightly wrong, or there's a little crack or whatever, and you'll find that your viewing public do not spot what you spot. This is natural, and we can be pretty hard on ourselves for saying, oh, this isn't perfect, so that means it's rubbish. Perfection does not mean better. Take this. There are a few scales knocking around that are a bit smudged into each other. There are cracks in some of the scales. But what you'd expect for an adult dragon is this dude would have been in a whole lot of fights. They're not known for their peaceful hippie ways. So it's not unreasonable to think there will be cracks in scales and little bits missing from ridges. It looks like the dragon's actually lived a life of a predator. So people see it and go, oh, the detail you've put in just to make it look worn like that. And I'm there going, yeah, that was in purpose. No. Right, already we got a scale ridge.
Charlie says the upcycle of clay canes is a brilliant idea.
Oh yeah. I'm going to pop off for 2 seconds. I'm going to show you the teddy bear that I made. I'm just going to go grab it. It's on the other side of the room. Didn't expect to show you all this. Right. Because my charms are really popular. Oops, sorry. My charms are really popular. I've almost sold out. Let's put this over. So, at the start of this year, the first thing I'm going to do is replenish my charms. So what we got, 8 tiny pigs, like this, and on this side they've all got a little brown dot. Can you see? Tiny pig. Even got the nose creases in. Right, now here's where the pink scales went. They have turned in to some really cute hearts for my bear. Oop, sorry, my hand's in the way. There we go.
Star says, thanks for showing us. Barry Hedgehog says, or 4D says, more of a story. Do you name your creations before you start them, during, or not at all?
I don't name my creations because I think the people who buy them should have the chance to name what they bought. And I find when I name something, I don't want to let go of it. And the whole point of all this for me is that it goes to good homes. That I'm doing something to make the world slightly better by making pretty things. Right. Now, wings. So let's put you over on your side. Wings are next.
Are the rear spikes going to be made spiky, or are they going to stay round?
They are all going to stay pretty round. I will go over off camera and fiddle with them and make them a little less scruffy. But I'm going to keep them like that. But you don't want me to be sitting here fiddling with them that much. Right, I've couple of clays we got to have. This is the original purple that we were using. I've made up a darker purple for the wing membrane. It's glitter and mica powder. I think looks better on a darker background. It shows it up more. So, stage 1 of wings is florist wire. This is some thick florist wire. I can't remember what gauge because my mind don't hold numbers very well. But when you go on, the thickest, the smallest number gauge they sell comes up to this size. So this is the thickest general florist wire you can get. Now, what I do for stage 1 is you need your dragon in front of you.
Charlie Star says that's a beautiful colour for the membrane. Also, Fairy Hedgehog said that's so cute when she was looking at the cute little bears.
Thank you. Right, you got your dragon. Now, imagine where the wings are going to go in. You're going to need some of the wire to go into the back to hold it in. So about that much for a big dragon like this. So what I'm doing is I'm visualising how long do I want that wing to stick out. So I want probably that much to go up the back and then a fold there, probably, yeah, that'll do it, about that sort of height. So I put you to one side. Whoop, stop rolling. All week long I have been coming over and trying to stop that thing from rolling. Not that it's driving me mad a little bit, but it is. Right, where are my wire cutters? Here they are. I've got together a handful of tools that I think I might use, but I may not use them all. I know I'm going to need paintbrushes. I've got my X-Acto blade, which is a little craft knife. Straight tweezers, crafting tweezers, which have the little diagonal to it. My pin tool, my favourite ball tool. May not use them all, but it's possible. So, now, so we've gone up the back like that, and we've got a wing length. Once you've got where you want, you get your wire cutter and give it a snip. are you going to do? Yeah, we are. Now, this is a bit fiddly. It took me a while to work this out. You need to get another wing that's exactly the same length. That's not going to be long enough. How to get your bends right. Level up on one end. Yeah? Like that. Then you're going to put one finger in the join, one behind, and then use the others to hold the bottom secure. Can you see how I'm doing? Then you take that and you bend at exactly the same place, and you make sure that they're level with each other. So you then end up with two L's that are the same, and you cut that one. If your two L's of metal aren't the same lengths, you will have two odd sized wings. Now, that might be what you're going for. Who am I to say? But there we go. Right. Now, I'm going to take a couple of balls of the original purple. About the same sort of size. Roll that into a ball. Now, for dragon wings, I would advise you don't get the covered florist wire. Some florist wire comes like this, covered in paper. And it looks good, but the clay grips to it very well, and we need the clay to slide over this. So you want, it doesn't matter what colour, you can get them copper, dark, all sorts of greens and things like that. It don't matter, it's all going to be completely covered. But two rough balls, like that. Then you get your ball of clay, you thread it through the middle up to the corner. So you got that. Yeah? Move you a bit more out the way because I'm going to need you a bit later. There we go, a bit of room.
Suggests they would have thought the clay gripping was a good thing. They had no idea.
Yes, I'll show you why. Right, remember which side is the bottom and which side is the top. These are pretty equal.
You said that you wanted the clay to slide.
Yes, I want it to slide, and I will show you why in a second because we're just about to do this. But if I need to say before I do this bit, if the length that's going vertically is shorter than the horizontal, make sure you don't get them the wrong way round. I've done it myself. This one happens to be pretty even on both sides, so it doesn't really matter. Right, you get the clay from the corner. With your finger, you divide it in half. So you make a little ridge through the middle like that. Just slightly so you can work out. Now, this is why you need it to slide. You're going to get this clay on one side and you're going to bring it down over the metal. So you're sliding it down, sliding it down. Can you see why it needs to slide? It's moving. You've got a bit of a end left. Smooth it out so that it's level, like that. Then you come over the other side and you're going to do this side the same. Bring it up, but this one is going to cover all the way to the tip. This is the top edge. Okay, if you see, I'm pulling it along. Now, the horizontal top bit is going to be thinner than the vertical, because the vertical is what holds the wing. So you will find that on these are modelled around bat's wings, if I'm honest, and you will find that this is the case. You have a thinner top and a thicker side, and we're going to go to a point. Now, This is a little bit longer than the metal inside. Can you see I can bend over? That's fine. So long as they wind up the same length, we're good. So what we got is that. Yeah? I'll bring it up a little closer to the camera. Like that. Do the same again on this side. So, pull on. Now, you will find it hard to bring that round the corner. So I leave it so it's just about in the side, and then squeeze the clay into shape rather than trying to get a big ball to sit actively into the corner perfectly. So do this quickly. Just gonna make another length like that. Now it is easier to do the outside L of the wings before you do the membrane, because that's not far up enough. There we go. Because it's what gives the structural stability. So it's far easier to do it this way around. I have done it where I've done the membrane first and then found it very difficult to get the L to fit properly. Right, where are we? Roughly the same size. You want to measure against your other one, because wings are generally symmetrical unless you're doing an animal that's got a disability or slight problem with its wings. Nothing wrong with that. I've got a dragon with a stoma bag and a dragon in a wheelchair, so don't knock disabilities. It's entirely good to be able to champion disabilities with your art. But this one's going to have equal wings. I think one day I might actually do one with one of its wings slightly wrong and give it a backstory about it. Now, where are we? Let's measure these against each other. As you can see, I've got that bit slightly too short, as is the tip. So you really want to make sure at this stage you've got them looking pretty much the same. There we go, that's right. Right, so we've got two L's. At this stage, make sure when you keep them, you're not putting them in the same direction. So like this, they're mirroring each other. Because what you want to do is you want the lines to be on the outside on both wings, so they have to be mirror images of each other. You'll see what I mean as I put the main bit in. This is what we're going to do next. Let's cut a bit of clay, move you out the way a bit, clear some space. Tools everywhere. Tidiness makes the world an easier place. Right. Is that going to be enough? Probably. We can always add to it if it's not. Right. Got to flatten this out. Where's my rolling pin? Here we go. This is going to be the membrane. So, you're flattening down the clay. I know it looks like I've got blue on some of this purple. I could either spend some time and mix it in and it won't notice. But I'm not going to do that because I'm going to cover the thing in glitter anyway. So you want roughly the same thickness with both of them. That looks about right. Right. Like this. Calls a point. So I'm pushing on two sides to bring it to a point. Then you're going to bring it out to fit. And you just do that by flattening down and bringing it to the shape that you want. Okay, as you can see, fiddle, fiddle, fiddle. Pull from the center outwards if you need extra width. Trying to pull from the edges tends to risk you causing a crack. So we're almost there with that. There we go. Right, which side is shorter? One side needs to be shorter. Now what you're aiming for is along that edge. You don't want the whole of the clay attached like that. When you go to place it, you will find that then that goes into the dragon, and where the wing's right against it, you'll end up with it folding up and looking really weird. What I do, halfway along that edge, I put my finger in and just do that. So it then lays. Let's bring you across to the tip. There we go. It lays like that. See? Now, then we're going to put some points in the wings. So just literally pull a bit out, use your finger to push like that, so you've got a little wave, bring it up to a point like that. One last one like that, and bring that into a point. The last one, there we go, perfect. So that's fitting great, and we've got some points to it, and it's all pretty smooth. Now I attach that on. You start in the very corner and you push it in towards, so it's laying on the middle. You don't want it too far on one edge, so you need to have a look and make sure you've got it pretty centre down that line. Doesn't matter if you've got a little bit of the top over sticking, it looks quite pretty, but you want to make sure it's fully attached along like that. That's perfect. Do that again with your other wing. So like that block, roll it out a bit so that we're starting to get some flatness. And again, as you can see, it's not perfectly even thickness the whole way along. It doesn't notice too much. What you want to make sure though, that's what happens when you pull away from the board. Can you see there is all that was left on the board, and the clay ends up doing that. That's why you drag a blade under it. Doesn't matter so much on this because I will smooth it out by pressing on it like this, but that's a good demonstration on why we use the tissue blade to release the clay. Let's go like that. Right, there we go. Now again, we are going to make a point. Right, do make sure you don't make the wing too thin because you will have tearing issues. It's not structurally sound. So there we go, like that. Let's go a bit out like that. Then along this side is longer. I can feel that's getting a bit thin, so let's push to where you want. There we go, that's more like it, like that. Now here we go into the corner like that. Where's our length? See, it's easier to be able to look at it like that. That's better. I can see what I'm doing. You really want them to try and look as similar as possible. Okay, so there we go. I'm very foggy today because I'm pretty painful, so you haven't got me at my best, so I'm really sorry about that, but clay is very forgiving, so it doesn't matter if I make mistakes. I can always fiddle with it and get it back looking right. 1, 2, 3 points. 1, 2, 3. I've got to do one more. Yeah, like that. Need one more point. So let's move this over. It's always far harder to get the second wing right than it is to get the first one. I always find the first one goes really quickly, and the second one, it takes me more fiddling because you've got to reenact exactly what you've done with the first one.
Fairy Hedgehog says you look like you're doing a grand job.
Thank
4D
you.
agrees.
Right, that's not tall enough. Let's bring that up like that. There we go, like that, like that. Now, I know on a lot of craft videos, I've been talking online to a lot of the people I talk to on Polymer clay, and there was one of the main questions that I've had is why don't, instead of going live, why don't I just make videos, edit it so that there's no mistakes and there's no fiddling around to get it right. It all looks perfect and brilliant. Well, there are a lot of those videos out there, especially ones that are about 5-10 minutes long, where they've made all the bits before filming, and you're literally just watching them just quickly put it together, and it's done, and it's short, and you don't need to talk through it all, and it's all very, very clean and polished. I don't want to do that. I want you to see that it does take fiddling. Sorry. There are mistakes. No matter how long you've been doing it, it doesn't mean that you have no mistakes. You can get it down to less mistakes, but that's about it. That's all you can hope. And you don't need to be worried about it. It all comes back all right.
Not back to front.
Right. So, like that, it looks kind of right. That side's a bit short, so I'm going to stretch it a bit longer down to there. There we go, like that. Once I've got them mirroring each other, then I will be able to see, even whilst attached, you can change its shape and thickness and stuff like that. There we go. That looks more right. That needs to come down a bit more like that. That is pretty close. I think I might trim that down a bit. Let's lay these on top of each other. Now, like that, like that, like that. Lay this up here, like that. Trim that down across there. And that's why I got my X-Acto knife with me. Then I can do that.
Woody says, stick to live, much better. I agree with you. And Charlie Star agrees, live is much better.
But I didn't think I was being controversial doing live streaming, but there was a whole lot of argument that, you know, this isn't what people normally do. You live stream games, you don't live stream crafts, because, you know, people ain't got time to spend 2 hours watching craft, and the whole thing kicked off, and I was like, wow, okay, unnecessary. I get it. I know this is a newer way of doing it, but I think it's good. Right, we're going to glitter these now. So turn it over. What I'm going to do is I've got some pink, some purple, and my brand new sparkly holographic. Now I know you can get glitter that biodegrades, that don't involve plastic and that sort of thing. Well, I'm not sure how well that goes through the oven. I know standard glitter goes through fine.
Charlie Star says, if they have 2 hours to watch games, then other people will watch craft for just...
I know, right? I think it's because people are used to what they're used to, And trying to do something new freaks some people out. I think that's what it is. It's different, so they can't get their heads around it. That's alright. There are so many of those short tutorials out there. They are well covered. They're completely catered for. They don't need me doing it. They really don't. So I put a bit of silver, a bit of purple and a bit of pink into a little dish. You can get these paint palettes all over the place for a couple of quid at a time. Now, the reason why I'm glittering the membranes first and then adding the scales around the arms and attaching them in is because you will get glitter. Actually, let's use a wider brush. You will get glitter up on the actual arms, and you don't want there to be. You want there to be scales there.
Charlie Star says people are terrified of new stuff.
Yeah, this is up and coming. There will be, I think, more people will get on board with live streaming arts, and it will become a normal. And then I'll be pleased that I got in at the grand level, and all will be merry and bright. But my New Year's resolution is to focus on my live streaming and hopefully build up some of my audience and get some more people watching, and try and get other players to come and join in and make their own live streams. I really think it's a good way of going. So I'm just dotting different colours of glitter in dabs. So you've got patches of pink, patches of purple and patches of silver. You see? Now, once you've got what you want, flip it over, do the other side. So it goes through quick. Oh, looks like my mother-in-law's off to pick my father-in-law up. That was the big door bang, so sorry about that. Has everyone had a good Christmas and New Year? Did you all get what you wanted present-wise?
Charlie Star says, so pretty.
I know, I love glitter. I know it's not PC, and I make sure that I don't get it into water sources. It goes into rubbish rather than rinse down the sink. But I think I was a magpie in my last life. I love shiny and glittery. So, yeah. I know you can get degradable ones, but I really suspect they're not going to work very well on the clay. I really do. You can still see the colour of the clay in the background coming through. So that's why you can't... I have not just used my scrap brown. I'm going to make sure I got along the edge lines as well. So, a bit more... Whoop. That's heavy glitter. You can always brush it off. Now, one thing I see people doing with their clay, with glitters and mica powders and all the other surface treatments like that, I see people thinking they're working with paint on canvas, and they're not. They're working with glitter on clay. What they're doing is they go, right, I put this layer of glitter on. I want it to be darker, so I'm going to try and put another layer of glitter on. No. Glitter won't stick to glitter. It will only stick to the raw clay. Once you've got a layer on, you can't layer it up. Unless you mix it with a medium like liquid polymer clay or varnish, then you can layer it up. But otherwise, you're just going to be putting it on, brushing it off, putting it on, brushing it off. It'll end up the same. And I've literally seen people doing that for about half an hour and wondering why their piece doesn't look richer and brighter. It's like, eeps. You guys you've learnt how to paint before you learnt how to clay, obviously. Because paint, you can layer that up as much as you want and it will stick to itself.
Charlie Star says any leftover glitter can be put into a pot And you end up with your own special colour blend for use on other items.
Yes, I do. I do that all the time. And I normally have a bit of paper underneath with a crease already down it, so it's easier to put back in. But where I work on glass chopping boards, they're relatively easy to wipe down, which is a godsend. I know you can... They're these ones where they're meant to not cut easily. They're these healing ones that look kind of like plastic. I've tried them. I heard all the good things about them, and my polymer clay just stuck to it. And I couldn't release it, and I was like, yeah, no, not right for this, obviously. Bit more silver, I think, on that. Ooh, there we go. Spread you around a bit. That's better. What do you reckon? Sparkly, sparkly. It doesn't show so well on the camera. Let's go close up. There we go.
I can focus it.
Don't they look awesome?
Honey?
Oh, back again.
There you go. I have to focus it.
Yeah.
Give me time.
Sorry. I'm not good with my techie. Right. Bit more purple pink on the other side. On some of my dragons, instead of glitter, I do one of my large Skinner blends, and I will go from one side to the other. A dark to light is the other option, or you can swirl clay together and do like a mixed swirly. But I really think this dragon needs glitter, because glitter. I suppose it's Christmas time.
4D says they look great, and Charlie Star says that looks so cool.
Thank you. It's amazing what a bit of glitter can do. Some glitters I have found when I put it through the oven, they lose some of their shine. So it may be worth just putting a bit on a bit of clay, a little bit of scrap, and just testing it, bake some off and see what you think before you commit your whole project to it. Especially some of the nail foils I've found completely lose half their design. They look kind of rubbish once you bake them. Right, you're shiny, you're shiny. Right, we're glittery. Now, let's clean up my board, because we don't want that much glitter on our board, because we're about to start working on scales. So, I'm going to put this back into the pot like this.
Charlie Star says good argument for needs of glitter though.
Yeah, on
As in how cool it looks.
It-
A good argument for glitter.
Christmas time is glittery. We get tinsel out, so it's kind of in our blood by the time we hit January. Right, I will put this away in a little baggie at some point after the film. Let's put it out the way though. I have knocked trays of glitter. It's pretty. It's a nightmare to clear up off the floor once you've got a hoover, especially if you've got your cat in the room. I have 2 cats and a guinea pig. I did have multiple guinea pigs. Before anyone messages me saying you shouldn't have one guinea pig on its own, I completely agree. My guinea pig lost her 2 siblings. She's quite old. We treated her for cancer. She had it quite bad. The vet said that the problem we have with getting her new friends, if it turns out they don't get on very well and it stresses her out, the stress will bring the cancer out, and next time which there's probably likely to be other cells left. So anyway, long story short, we can't do anything that could potentially cause her stress. We could lose her for it.
4D says lol glitter everywhere. That's why I don't use glitter.
Just put a big bit of paper down. What you need to do with your bit of paper, let's find a bit of paper. There we go. What you do, fold it in half so you've got a crease line. Work on that like that, and then once you've got all your glitter on it, you can let's show you. You have got your glitter on it. Let's go like this. Glitter on the paper. Most people know how to do this, but it's worth showing. with a crease line means you can tap, tap, tap. It's in a line down the crease, and then you can tap it back into the pot. I've worked on big A1 sheets of paper doing that before, when I've got huge things to glitter on mica powder, because especially mica powder, it's not cheap. Costs a fucking fortune. Right, so we now have 2 wings. This is the point where it's important to get them laying right. Now, bringing back my dragon. Has your head trying to come off again? It's a typical dragon, willful. Just push it back on. There you go. Ha! You will yield. Now, when I first started doing dragons, I would get these wings and push them straight in, and what you find is the metal will come out the top. It doesn't do well. So use a bit of the ND wire, decide where your wing's gonna go, and make a guide hole. So you're looking between the shoulder blades really, and the angle counts. Whatever angle you choose, your wings are going to be at that angle. So let's put this one in, facing now like that. Let's attach to a bit more. There we go. Gonna do more with that, don't worry, it's not completely done yet. Let's get the next one in. This bit, it depends on which order you want to do it in. You can put the scales on and the lines on and then put them in place, or you can put them in place and then do all that. This time I'm putting them in place first. Make sure they're attached to the back properly, pushed in properly like that. Now you're gonna get your scales that you had from last time, and we're gonna work from the tip and go around and cover the top edge. Okay, I will do a few to show you, but I will do the rest off camera once we're done. So like that. Then the next line comes in like that. Can you see? So we're scaling across the wing like that. Yeah, and I will show you that probably next week once I've done. The next thing you can do is you pinch that corner into a little triangle like that, flatten it down and then twist like that, so you've got a little twisted point, and then hook it over. So the scales will then come around the base and you don't scale over that hook. Yeah, so we'll cover them all up there and all down there. Then the last thing to do on the wings after that is you pick your accenting colour, which I'm going to be using silver, and on the outside of the wings, so whoop, let's lay you a little bit more flat. There we go. Good thing about florist wire is it will bend. There we go. Let's do that. That looks better. Right, along the outside I'm going to make a silver strip, little sausage, and you're going to go from the point of each of those spiky bits on the bottom edge through to the edge of that corner join. Now I know I'm working on a very big thing, so it's harder to show you what I'm doing. Let's see, can I get a camera angle that's right? that one looks roughly right. So long thin strip of silver. Make sure it's roughly the same thickness the whole sausage. And then you're going to go from that corner down to the tip of that peak, break it off, next one along, you start again, same point, down to the tip, stick it on, break it off. Yeah? And at the end you are going to straighten up the little stack there by pinching it. So long, whoop, if it breaks like that, take it off where you want, just join it back in like that. There we go. See, it all works out. Last one. Like this, in on the side, along to the tip. There we go. So you need to make sure you do that on the outside of both, rather than if you had them where they were the same and not mirrored, you would have one side with the lines on the outside and the other one with them on the inside, and that just doesn't work. It goes all weird. So I will do the other side and I'll do the scales on them off camera, so you haven't got to sit there and watch me do that. The next thing that I want to do is I want to give the nose some nostrils.
Hearty Life says, "Hi Carly, wow, the dragon is
Hi,
amazing."
Isn't he? It's hard to get the camera angles right, so I know you're not getting the greatest view of it all at the moment because he's huge and he keeps trying to roll. Right, what I'm going to do, let's see, get a nose for you. I might move this camera down a bit so you can see better. Sorry, there we go. Let's get a close in of a nostril. Can we do this? There we go, nose. Bit of a further back there. That better, or shall we go?
Can you change the focus?
Whoop. It's hard to get it off. So that, there we are. That's what I'm looking for. A nose that isn't you're not going to be able to see what I'm doing otherwise. Sorry, it's jogging around a bit.
Hearty Life says, "Always love a close-up of a nostril."
Yeah. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick on a dot of a little... That would happen, wouldn't it? Right, let's try this again. Nose. Can you see that right? Just can't get the right technical stuff, can you? Right. Tiny ball of clay. Make sure you've got two that are the same size. You stick one on one side. One on the other side. Whoop.
4D says it's a rock and roll dragon.
Like that. Can you see the two little raised dots of silver? There, yeah? Then you get your pin tool and you make a hole in the middle. Now just rock it so you make some proper nostril shapes. If you try to make little rings, you won't manage it. This is the easiest way to do it. See? It now has nostrils that actually look like nostrils. Yeah? So far, let's give you a better look at what we're doing dragon wise. So, looking good. I'm going to put the camera back where it was. Oop. There we go. Now, helps if I do that and do that.
That's not how it was.
Techie guys coming in helping me out, thank you. Right, so we have wings that are going to get finished. Now let's do some horns above the eyebrows is the next thing I like to do. I'm going to have to recheck that the nick is properly secure before I bake it. Right, what I do is you start out with a thickish long bit of your accenting colour that you're going to make your horns out of. The edges in little points. Then you flatten it just a bit. And then you twist. Twist with one hand. You can do with both if you want to make it quick. Go all the way up to the tip like that. So you got one of those, and you make sure you get another one. Now, a little bit of info. I did get those teeth in place. You do need the craft tweezers rather than the straight flat pointed tweezers in order to get round the corner and make it so that it actually holds properly. Now, that's too long. Take a bit off. Getting there, still a bit long. Point that corner. There we go. About that. Now, again, you flatten it and you twist. Twisty, twisty, twist. The reason why, if you don't flatten it, you don't get the ridges. Can you see? It's very, that bit hasn't ridged properly. If you don't make it so that there's a little bit of a curve to the surface, you can end up with, let's see, can I make it do it? It does a thing where it just literally lays over the whole thing and doesn't make as nice a ridge. So unfortunately this is one that's going to take just you practicing fiddling around with it, but it's pretty simple. Now let's see, twist you up, get me lengths right. There we go. That's what I wanted to show. If you over flatten, can you see how it's done like a flat thick line rather than these little bumps? Does that show up okay? So where are we? That one. That flat bit there is when it's very flat, and these nice little ridges here, my cameraman isn't actually doing anything for focusing, which would have been useful. Right, flat bit there is when you got it too flat. Those ridges are what you're aiming for. Got to keep on board with your staff. Make sure that they're not fiddling with their phones and actually
Falling asleep as well.
falling asleep rather than helping you out. Right, they both look roughly the same. Now, what I tend to do is I pinch the tips of one end. Then you need your dragon right in front of you. So you've got your line of sight good. And you're going to put the bit that you just pinched right in the middle between the eyes. You go up in an arch and then bring it back. And you can curve it round and make it look how you want. So I will show you how I've laid this in a second once I've got it laying how I want. I can see I'm going to have to support this head in the oven, or it'll end up needing to be stuck back on. Right, so can you see we've got horns in place? And again, you can fiddle around with them and make them how you want. Yeah, so we've got a neckline, nice little silver horns. We're going to cover these wings in scales once I'm off camera. So last thing really to do on it, you can, sorry, I'm just chucking my drink everywhere. You can do little claws if you wish. Just break off a bit of your accenting, roll it out into a tiny little sausage and taper the tips. So you've got tiny little claws like that. You do several of those. I tend to do 4 on each paw, and you just push them on an overlay onto the glass.
I wish the camera's autofocus.
Right, so he's getting claws done some point pretty shortly. So the last thing to do on him will be some fire. What I'm going to do with this, I'm going to cut bits off, different thicknesses. Can you see where I've laid it up? There's the fade is stripy. All I've done to do that was, when I was making it into a rectangle, I folded it over on itself and made sure I did it where they weren't lining up properly. I will do a better tutorial on this, but half the time, instead of actively trying to make it so that it has these lines, I get them by accident. And every time I do, I find it fortunate. So I'm pinching the top and going to pinch there, and we're going to make it into a bit of a wavy shape like that. Now I know fire has blue in it. I could put a little dot of blue in if I wished, but I'm not going to. So we're going to make this on the board first and then put it in the dragon's mouth. So pinch it, wave it, you can twist it round on itself. Just make it look like the fluidity that you would get with a dragon breathing fire. So we're going to start out with a back line. So what I'm doing is I'm going to do probably 3 of these.
4D says they just finished a lovely homemade cheesecake. So nice.
Did you save me any? No? No cheesecake saved? There you go. It is Christmas. You are meant to be eating things like this. What flavour cheesecake? We got a flavour?
Nope.
Nope. Let us know what flavour. Right.
He says no, sorry. That's probably to whether they saved you any.
I take it that's the you didn't save me any, not there was no flavour, because that sounds like the best cheesecake in the universe. So I got that. Now I'm going to
lemon and blueberry.
Lemon and blueberry. That does sound amazing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one in half along the middle like that, and then I want to make it dumpier. So I'm just pushing on it to make it so that it's can then sit in. Can you see what I'm doing?
Apparently Charlie Star made some and gave it to 4D.
So I'm putting the next bit of fire, I'm laying it up. And then once I've got it to where I want, I can then put that in, going from the mouth, so that we've got the red, yellow and orange that I promised at the beginning for you, 4D. There we go. Like that, like that. I'm going to put one little bit more, I think. Let's do this. Down the middle. So yeah, you can, when you work with your clay, if your design is too long or too short or not right, you can always put it on a board and squidge it to where you want. It's easier if you keep one side flat against the board. It means that you can control that direction of where it's going. Right. Should I do more forks of fire, or is that enough, would you say? Should I do a few more coming out the top there?
Mary Joy Coleman says, thank you for sharing your work. I just found you. I'm going to follow you.
Thank you.
4D says, welcome aboard.
Welcome, welcome. I'm going to be working every single Wednesday at 5 o'clock for 2 hours. And you get to see the successes, the failures, the mistakes, the problems. Like this little guy, his head keeps trying to fall off, which is not really good. That's what you don't want from your dragon.
Fairy Hedgehog says, that looks like enough fire, maybe?
Let's show you what it would look like with a bit extra on. That would be what it looks like with more. Oh, down a bit. One of these days I'll work out where my cameras are.
No, you won't, because we're about to move it.
We're about to move them all anyway. I might just do one more for in there and then put this in place. What time are we? We only 6:30. This is going actually to schedule.
That's an hour and a half, man.
I know. I'm almost finished. Right, I'll do one more little fire spike for the background there. Then we will put that in place.
Says, that's brilliant fun.
Yeah. Gotta love a bit of fire. Not a dragon without it. There we go. What do you reckon? Yeah? So I'm going to squidge that end so that it's a small pointed shape. Then we're going to get the dragon vase. You would squish onto tin foil. I'm going to have to fiddle with this after I can see it. I'm going to put that on the tip of the tongue. Like that. And then bring that round the vase like this.
Mary Joy Coleman says, I will most likely have to watch the replays. I'm usually at school with my son on Wednesdays in the USA, so it's morning here.
Oh,
On YouTube
good morning.
now, so I can watch them on Thursdays.
Yes, I put everything up on YouTube so it's not lost. Come on, Wing.
Fairy Hedgehog says it's great when you can come in though and join the chat.
Thank
I
you.
like it.
Yeah. I'm always welcoming new people. Everyone is entirely welcome. So this is what we are left with. He's going to need a bit of fiddling around before I finished. The last thing I'm going to do to you is I'm going to put a little spike on the tip of the towel. So let's lean you back in place like that. Now, one of the things you might find when you bake things is you need to support clay whilst it's baking. So I reckon I'm going to need to put a little prop under that head, a little bowl or something that can go through the oven to make sure that it doesn't fall off whilst it's baking rather. Right, tip of the towel. Do you remember how I twisted that up like that? I'm going to do a larger one as a towel point. So, bit of clay, flatten it down into its triangle shape, then you twist it like that. Now, I want that sort of wide into thin, so I'm going to cut that end bit off. Its shape ain't right for me.
Then Coleman says, thank you, I'm excited to watch all the videos.
Yay.
Bear Hedgehog says, love that file.
Thank you. Right, so we got a towel spike. So where it was looking scruffy at the end of the towel, there, I can just get that towel spike and put that in place there, like that. There we go. We now have a spiked towel. Right. I think
4D says, I sometimes use a blob of my waste clay to support anything that rolls in the oven.
that is good, but you are baking that clay. You can use baked clay as armatures for the centre of raw clay. I have done that. Bits that I've baked up and not used still don't need to be thrown. There's always something you can do with your clay that isn't involving the dustbin. The only time I throw clay away is if I put it against something plastic and the plastic's melted, because
you only need a small blob at each end of the
whoop, you're going to need to be fiddled around with, because I can see you're sliding everywhere. I'm going to do that off camera because it's going to be boring. I'm just going to support it all up, finish off the scales and lines on the wings, and then I'm going to bake it up and go through. I'm going to varnish it. Now what I'm going to varnish it with is Ronsil Ultra Hard varnish. What you're looking for your varnish for polymer clay is polyurethane. If it isn't polyurethane, you're in trouble. A lot of varnishes react with the clay, and over time, and it can take a few months, it then ends up feeling very sticky to the touch, and you can't get it to change back. We know that polyurethane doesn't do that, so do hunt down a varnish in your country that works out well for you. I know that most of the branded polymer clays do their own varnish, and pretty much all of them can actually be baked in the oven. Once you've got this gear on, you don't want to rebake it. I've found I've tried Fimo's one, and I found it didn't make a glossy coat. It cost a lot of money for very little, and I found that it went slightly tacky to the touch, so I just thought leave off on that, and I went for Ronsil. It's what I know. But I will do a video live to just straight to YouTube rather than going live. Our next week's live session will be me making something completely different, but I will show you the end result of this. The straight to YouTube one is going to be me taking this off and epoxying it with 2-part epoxy, gluing it back onto the vase so it stays properly. Okay, I hope you all have a good week, and I promise I will show you the end results of this. It's almost completely finished now, and once I've got it done and I've showed you it all off, I'm going to then put it into my Etsy shop. As you've seen, it's taken many hours. I've worked on this, not just the 5 sessions of 2 hours that I've done on screen. I've worked on this off of screen as well for several hours. So he's probably going to be about £100 once I've worked out all the maths for my pricing. But you will be getting handmade, one of a kind, beautiful dragon vase. So hopefully he ends up finding himself a lovely forever home. Until then, I will be keeping hold of him and loving him to death. I hope you all have a wonderful week. If you like what I'm doing, do click the like button, the subscribe, or follow buttons. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, all over the place.
Says it's beautiful and a unique
Thank
handcrafted work of art. Mary Joy Coleman says thank you, enjoy your evening. 4D says enjoy your day too. Fairy Hedgehog says enjoy your day.
Everyone, I hope you enjoy your day and your week, and I will be back next week with this fella baked up, varnished and sorted. I reckon next week I'm going to be working on making another set of charms. I will try and figure out which one I shall be doing on screen with you all. I will be taking suggestions. If there's anything you specifically would like to see me make, you're welcome to get in touch with me on any of the above. And yeah, speak to you soon. Bye everyone.